and welcome this morning to Saint-Etienne. It's Bastille Day today, and perhaps the French will celebrate with a stage win by the end of it. Yesterday, it was the British rider Max Chiandri who thrilled us all with that great stage victory. Before we go to the action today, let's join Max in his hotel last night, where he completed his day of celebration. Gary Imlach reports.
It took a while for the champagne cork to pop at the MG Hotel last night. Team boss Giancarlo Ferretti refusing at first, saying stage wins were what his riders were paid for. Max, though, was savouring the win regardless.
Well, you know, now I'm starting to taste it. I just had a shower, good massage. So, you know, when you finish journalists and pulling you here, pulling you there, you don't really realise, you know. But probably from now on, I'll start tasting it, you know, realising that I got a stage win.
Possibly the only people happier than Max were his parents, over on holiday from Los Angeles, where they live.
The journey was worth it from America, you know, 15,000 miles. But, you know, I had a hunch that he was going to do something. And I just hope it's not the last one. You know. There's a small stage coming up that they have for him, you know.
Well, your dad thinks you can win another stage, then?
Well, I think that also, you know, I mean, I won a stage and there's some good stages coming ahead, good stage for me, you know, I've got a good condition, good morale, the team is good, you know, so, I mean, you don't have to just sit on and relax and think about the past. You have to all the time look forward, you know. If you have a good condition, you have to take advantage of it.
It may be difficult for you today, Max, though. There's a very difficult uphill finish to end this 222 kilometres stage 12 coming in from Saint-Etienne. 48 riders have now given up in the Tour de France, and only 49 are still in the race within 1 hour of Miguel Indurain as they head for the south. It's been a quiet race for the other British rider, Sean Yates, so far, but he's still on course for a finish in his 12th Tour de France. And Miguel Indurain, well, he's also on course for a record 5th win. And today he equals Jacques Anquetil's record. He's worn the yellow jersey on 51 occasions during his Tours de France. In the first sprint today, there was a breakaway already established, and Laurent Jalabert was heading over the line ahead of Dario Bottaro and Melchior Mauri.
Good clear skies for the riders this afternoon, with a slight wind coming from the south and high of 25 degrees Celsius, although it will be a little cooler at the top of the climb.
And in the second sprint, the breakaway was well consolidated here with a lead of 10 minutes and 27 seconds. Jalabert again ahead of Podenzana and Neil Stevens. And this is that breakaway now. 3 Once riders, Jalabert, Mauri and Stevens. A Gavies rider in Bottaro. Motorola have Perone, and Brescia have Massimo Podenzana. The last time check we got was 9 minutes and 17 seconds. It has been up to almost 11 minutes, and as you can see, we're now just 40 kilometres or 25 miles from the finish, and we are on the last climb of the day before the finishing climb.
Well, you know, it's been a very good coup by the Once squad today, because tactically they played it superbly. I don't think anybody would have expected them to attack, and when they had Melchior Mauri and Jalabert in front, they actually waited when they got the information that Neil Stevens was coming across. 3 riders from the same team in a group of 6 really is a record for success.
And when you think that Mauri is 8th overall, 12 minutes 49 behind Indurain, Jalabert is 6th overall, 9:16 back. At one stage, Jalabert was the yellow jersey on the road, but behind, Indurain again has showed how cool he is. He never launched the attack. He has more or less cajoled the other teams to go on the chase down, because they want to get a stage win and they want to see this breakaway reduced. And so again, Indurain hasn't panicked when somebody has threatened his overall lead.
Well, he has no reason to panic, really, because Laurent Jalabert, I'm sure, won't be able to ride Miguel Indurain in the big mountains if Indurain really needed to put the hammer down and get rid of him, even though Jalabert has improved so much. But again, he really has played the tactical game. He's left it right until the last minute, and the other teams panicked and they've moved to the front. There are three or four teams chasing at the moment now. You have Gawiz have moved up there, Pulte, and the last time I saw, even the MG team of Max Chiandri were at the front too.
And long climbs here. This is a 3rd category climb here, the Côte de Charpal.
It looks to me like Neil Stevens has done his job for the day. He's given an awful lot of his energy to the success of this breakaway, and now he can no longer follow the rhythm set by the riders in that group. But what a man. You have to take your hat off to this Aussie. He really gives it everything he's got.
And while we watch Laurent Jalabert on the climb here, if I can just put something right, put the record straight from yesterday, I did say when Max Chiandi won the stage that it was the first road racing win since Robert Miller back in 1984. Well, I got the name right, but in fact it was 1989, of course, Robert Miller winning at Super Bagnères in the Pyrenees. I got a little bit excited because on Sunday we go down to Gouzet-Neige, and that was where Robert Miller won in 1984. Well, there's still a little bit of help required for Jalabert, and again, Jalabert looking over at Melchior Mary, and just look at this now. Mary has gone right up onto the shoulder of Jalabert. No help at all from Podenzona, Bachilier rider, nor Gaywiz, and Perron is playing a waiting game, I think. I would imagine there was a little bit of a row last night in the Motorola camp because they missed on a breakaway yesterday when they haven't really done much at all in this year's Tour de France, and time is running out for them to snatch a stage win. So I think it was more or less obligatory that a Motorola rider made the split today. And the gap coming down on the climb here, the main field, of course, yet to start this climb, 8 minutes and 40 seconds. They are closing in, but they're going to need a few minutes, Paul, by the time they get to Mende, because it's a fair climb up there. They will lose a lot of time.
They will definitely lose a lot of time, having been at the front for such a long time. But what... Another rider having a problem with the devil there, in fact, at the back of the main field here. This, in fact, will be one of the Banesto riders, and it's Carmelo Miranda, and the devil there cheering him on a little bit.
And he needs a bit of a chase back because he's been off the back of the field there. He's now got to go through the convoy of cars and rejoin the bunch. Coming up now towards the summit of the climb of the Côte de Charpal. There's the banner in the horizon, and it looks to me as though Jalabert is also going to try and snatch a few points for the King of the Mountains competition. He has been taking points in this competition all day today, although they're not very big points because the categories of the climbs are small, third and fourth category only. And Melchior Mary goes over the top, followed by Jalabert and Perron. So 5 riders still together, and it wouldn't surprise me if Neil Stevens does struggle his way back up to this group before we get down to Mende and then the big climb up to the finish. And now the main field is coming up towards the summit as Richard Virenque springs clear for the 7th place on the climb. And that will give him some more points for that King of the Mountains competition. There are, in fact, only 45 riders in this chase group because on the climb, a lot of riders have dropped away from the big field, an indication that Miguel Indurain and the Banesto boys are now turning the screw that little bit tighter. So the gap continues to come down. The last check we had was 8 minutes and 50 seconds. We'll take a break.
It was Bastille Day. He was a Frenchman. He was about to cross the line for his one and only stage win in the Tour de France. Reasons for this man to be cheerful in 1989 after the break. If you're ever going to win one stage of the Tour de France in your career, you might as well do it on the 200th anniversary of Bastille Day. That's what Vincent Barteau did in 1989. He's the last Frenchman to win the Bastille Day stage. Well, needless to say, the French contingent of the peloton will be up for it today. And if they're in any need of added inspiration, the town of Le Puy-en-Velay, with its amazing church and statue of the Virgin Mary perched high on top of volcanic outcrops, should be able to provide it. Now, since this is a national holiday, the spectators will be out in force too, especially on the climbs, which is fine as long as they stick to spectating instead of trying to participate. The other day on Alpe d'Huez, there were almost as many runners as riders on the course. And to show you what I mean, here's an example of what Miguel Indurain had to put up with in the space of just a few kilometres. Mick's first problem was a flag-waving Spaniard in the works. And as you'll see from our overhead Nuttercam, as he falls away, unable to stand the pace, he's passed by a crazed fool with a klaxon. Thankfully he doesn't use it, but he does give Miguel 20 or so close quarter high-volume seconds of the least welcome encouragement he's probably ever had in his life. Of course, San Miguel doesn't flinch, but even he must have been pushed to breaking point by the fan who'd thought long and hard about how to help his hero up the last few kilometres and decided the best thing would be a nice apple. All this, of course, is on top of the usual water. But before you think standards of fan behaviour in the 90s are declining, have a look at these archive shots. At least people these days are only throwing pints and litres. 40 years ago it was bathtubs and the garden hose to save having to go for refills. Now, while we're talking about aberrant fan behaviour, if you're watching last year's shows, you should remember this. Then there was the man, of course, who drove the motorised profiterole for a living. But this year, there's only one character on the tour, and here he is, the devil, or since he's German, der Teufel. Teufel.
Hello. Hello.
Well, this year, not only is the devil back on the tour route, but he's brought a soulmate with him. What kind of deal he did for her soul, he's not saying. But astonishingly, Didi Semt has found the only person in Germany and possibly the world who shares his inclination to stand at the side of the road waving a pitchfork at traffic. So understandably, he married her. She looks occasionally as though she might have regrets, but once you've put on a pair of horns at an international sporting event, there's no going back. They're both in it for the duration now, compiling a body of documentary evidence for posterity as they go. Well, no doubt in the supernatural course of things, there'll eventually be the patter of tiny cloven feet. In a couple of tours' time, there'll be little devils by the roadside. If there are, you'll be the first to know.
And Gary gets quite fired up on occasions. Well, the race is now picking up. Neil Stevens here, the man who did so much work in that breakaway. He's the first to be caught. He's now back in the bunch. The gap is a little under 5 minutes now, and we still have 5 of the original 6 men out in front. But the man who has been doing all of the work, Paul, is Melchior Mauri. What a tremendous ride he's done up there today.
This really reflects to me the spirit of the Onse squad, though, because Neil Stevens was in that break initially. He gave everything he could, then he sat up and waited to be caught by the main field. And now Melchior Mauri, who, don't forget, himself this morning was 8th overall in the standings, decided that he is going to give everything he's got to get Laurent Jalabert to the bottom of the climb, where Jalabert will then take over. And if he can, he has to get rid of the 3 riders who are with him, because they haven't been doing any work at all over the last few kilometres.
Well, back with the leaders now, and it's still Mauri at the front. He's been up here now for something like half an hour, I think. He's offered, nobody's offered him any help. Jalabert is trying to take as much a break as he can, and there's confirmation. We are, in fact, 5 miles apart on the road today. 8 kilometres between the leaders and the main peloton. But that field has broken up quite dramatically on the previous climb, and there are 2 large bunches now heading down towards Mende. Now, this little breakaway of Melchior Mauri, he can't keep this up for much longer, but he has given everything to try and launch Jalabert onto the climb up to the finish. And this Onse team is tremendously well organised. It's one of the most successful teams on the circuit this year, and now you can see why, because they have every reason to be argumentative among themselves. There are a number of riders who could lead on the team. You've got Zula here as well, but they're always planning to work as one unit. And still Melchior Mauri keeps the pressure on. A superb rider. He surprised everybody the year he won the Tour of Spain, and he never actually repeated that sort of form, but even so, he has been a brilliant Tour rider ever since. He won the Tour of Spain way back now in 1991, where he also won 2 stages of that race, but he's never looked like winning the Tour of Spain since, although he has won a stage which he won back in 1993. There he is.
They've done a superb job over the last few kilometres. Melchior Mauri has taken it solely upon himself to give Laurent Jalabert a short breather before we get up to the bottom of the climb. And you see, all the time, Jalabert has been stretching himself. He's checking the Velcro straps on his feet there, making sure that everything's right for when they start to attack this climb, because he realises that then somebody like Podensana may well try and jump and surprise them. Just looking at Laurent Jalabert for the last few days, it really amazes me the ease of his pedalling strokes. He really has gained an awful lot of power over the last 12 months, and it may well be that that crash gave him a forced rest and he came back a lot stronger.
And as far as we know, Indurain's little move, which came a few kilometres back, has been swept up by that lead group of some 40 riders, and so they're all together again. The Polti team, by the way, is one of only 2 teams left with a full complement still in this race of 9 riders. The other one, dare I say it, is the Benesto squad of Miguel Indurain. All of the other teams have now lost men. In the case of Lotto, of course, they've only got 2 men left.
That is total devastation, I think, for the Lotto squad, and it hasn't gone down very well with the Belgian press, because Belgian cycling a couple of years ago was regarded as the tops, and now they're having a great deal of difficulty having half a dozen riders finish the Tour de France.
Well, it's 4-star petrol today in the legs of Melchior Mauri. He's still setting the pace. There we can see the climb. It gives you no idea of the gradient, but believe me, it is tough one. And he's gone. Well, it was a bad time for our cameras to move away, because that was the time that Jalabert decided to accelerate, and he's gone. And that is the attack we expected. It looks to me as though Podensana, no, it's the Gabi's rider, Bertaro, has gone after him. So look at this, he's sat on the back ever since the break started. Now he's chasing Jalabert.
And he's having a great deal of difficulty getting to the wheel of Laurent Jalabert, but the other riders have just been blown away by the attack of Laurent Jalabert. He knew this was his climb, and I feel fairly sure that he's been to check it out beforehand, because he too rode the Midi-Libre, as did Miguel Indurain. He has chance now to look over his shoulder, and he sees that Bottaro cannot get into contention. He can't close the gap on flying Laurent Jalabert.
And you know, Bottaro has sat at the back all day, and he still hasn't the legs to reach this man, Laurent Jalabert. Bottaro has only won 2 races in his whole cycling career, and one of those was a stage of the Tour of Holland. Now, we're heading up now towards the 4 kilometres to go point, and the time check is just under 8 minutes now to the leader on the road, and here he is. And you know, Paul, he is only 2 minutes off the yellow jersey as well, so he could be in second place tonight.
He could well be. The time that he needs is 6 minutes and 49 seconds to move ahead of his own teammate Alex Zuller. But you know, he's not worried about that. I think what he's worried about is moving up into 3rd place and also winning on the 14th of July, Bastille Day. He said this was the stage that he wanted, and he must have known in the back of his mind that it suited him down to the ground.
Well, here's a rider who has wins in double figures this year as the gap comes down to inside 7 minutes now. 15 wins under his belt this season. It's been a long year for him, but it's been win all of the way. He started winning back in February in the Tour of Mallorca, and then came the big win, the classic race, Milan-San Remo. Then the Flèche Wallonne, another classic race in Belgium. He also won the stage race, the Critérium International in France, and 4th in the single-day classic, the oldest classic in the world, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. So it's been a superb season for him, and the trend is about to continue.
This is the man Massimo Podenzano, a little bit further down the climb. He really was the man I thought could be the challenge, and he is in fact riding up to Laurent Jalabert at the moment.
So Bottaro tried and has blown and has been replaced in pursuit by Massimo Podenzano. And to me, looks as though he's climbing pretty well. Now, they may well have put all the cars in behind Jalabert a little bit prematurely here, because that's going to be an added attraction to Podenzano.
Information coming that Podenzano is actually starting to close down on Laurent Jalabert. The gap now is down to 50 metres, so it won't be too long before they move those cars out of the way. There's the time check over the main field, 6 minutes and 51 seconds, and the main field are still only in the streets of Mende.
And here's our new friend from the mountains, Marco Pantani, now driving, and I would imagine that Marco himself is going to try and break clear on the climb. He's in the town of Mende.
Well, that was a superb move. Laurent Jalabert, Laurent Brochard, in fact, had tried to set the move up for Richard Virenque, but this is the new man who I think will be called very soon the Eagle of the Mountains. He really can fly as soon as the road tilts upwards.
And again, Indurain is going to use his immense strength now to shut down the big time gap that Jalabert has gained today. As Pantani again kicks and tries to go clear, but Alex Zuller this time is after him, and that's why Indurain is taking an interest in action at the front now. He won't allow Zuller any space to move whatsoever. Look at the face of Indurain.
Indurain looks as if he's suffering quite a lot, and the man following him today is Bjarne Riis, the Danish champion. He, in fact, is giving all kinds of everything to stay in contact. The pressure really is on today, and I think the riders of the Tour de France have decided they will really have a go at this climb.
Laurent Brochard has gone away, and so too has Pantani, but from the other end of this group, off the front. Marco Pantani just stands on those pedals when the road goes up, and there's nobody can match him, not even Miguel. This is now Laurent Jalabert. The big climb for him is over. Shortly it will tip and he'll start to go down. No sign of Podenzano. We don't have a camera back there, so we don't really know where he is, but he hasn't come through the cars either. So Jalabert now could be coasting to what he will see as his finest victory. Look at the speed here, further down the slopes, about 3 kilometres back, in fact, to Marco Pantani. He's got 4 kilometres to go.
And this is dangerous for when we go down to the Pyrenees, you know, because the Tour de France is not over for Marco Pantani. He's got 2 great stages, but Miguel Indurain has decided he is going to put the hammer down too, and he's chasing to try and get up to Marco Pantani. And it looks very much as if Alex Zuller was suffering with 1 kilometre to go for the leader, Laurent Jalabert. It looks as if the French are going to be quite happy. Bjarne Riis just looks over his shoulder a little bit to see what the situation is with Alex Zuller. But today, Indurain is using Pantani as a has a hair in the front of him. He's chasing him down, but
further down the slope we got Pantani. Now we're going to see this man break his poker face, and it'll be one for smiles.
Well, while he's going to take a superb victory at the front, it's danger for Alex Zula at the back, because in fact he has been dropped by Miguel Indurain and Bjarne Riis. So it may well be tonight that Laurent Jalabert jumps over his teammate into second place.
Well, time will tell, of course, but right now what this man is thinking about is the two-armed victory salute, a Frenchman winning on Bastille Day and winning in the green jersey of leader of this race as the most consistent daily finisher, and you can't be more consistent than this. He's going to win the stage on July the 14th. Like all good professionals, he makes sure nobody's there, least of all Podensana. And now it'll be a moment of glory for Laurent Jalabert. This has been a magical Tour de France for him. He's had the yellow, he's got the green, and now he's got the stage win. Up goes the zip now. He's going to make it look as though he hasn't tried all day. What a great race it's been for him, because he's been in the lead for most of the day today. He's enjoying this now. Who cares about a few seconds, because this will be remembered forever. Laurent Jalabert crosses the line and salutes the crowd, as in the distance you can see the sort of distance he has put between himself and the former champion of Italy, Massimo Podensana. Even for him, though, this is a great result. Podensana getting his best ever finish as well on the stage of the Tour de France. So Podensana comes home in second place, 26 seconds the time gap. And then Dario Bottaro, he will be very pleased with this ride too. Another great finish for him and his best place. He comes in now just over 38, 40 seconds down. But the real hero of this stage, who will be well thanked tonight by Laurent Jalabert, is Melchior Mauri. He made such an effort throughout the stage and still took fourth place. That man today was Superman. Andrea Perron will take fifth place from Motorola, so they get a high finish at last, not quite as high as they wanted, but they still got a result today. So they come along with the main runway here on this little mountaintop plateau. That breakaway completely exploded on the climb. But look at the time gaps too, this time lost in the last 5 kilometers of the day. Andrea Perron finishing in fifth place, around about a minute and 25 seconds behind. Now we have the race on the runway here for sixth place. Miguel Indurain has swept up Marco Pantani inside 1.5 kilometers from the finish, and now Big Mig is going to take on Bjarne Riis in the sprint. I don't think we can include Marco Pantani in the sprint, but I think for sure that in fact Bjarne Riis will try to beat Miguel Indurain, and yet they're working to the line to save seconds in both cases.
There was a little sign from Miguel Indurain there just to say, come on, let's work together, because we can put time between myself and Alex Zula. And in fact, I was very surprised to see that Bjarne Riis came forward and gave Indurain a little turn, because so far in this Tour de France, everybody's been sitting in his wheel, and that's the first time somebody's come to the front to help him.
But look at the face of Miguel Indurain. He's really surprised, but he's now taking time away from Alex Zula, and he doesn't care what he finishes as long as he gets that time over Zula. The man is putting all of the effort into these pedals now, and because of that, Bjarne Riis, I think, is going to take the sprint away from him. Riis goes now. Pantani has the cheek to go over Indurain as well. He chases Bjarne Riis. This will be the sprint for sixth place. The clock is counting on the left of our screen there. This has been big time gains by Jalabert today. And look at this, Pantani deserves this. He gets 7th on the line by Riis, followed over, and then comes Indurain. 5 minutes 40 the gap. And Alex Zula is coming in. The clock was at 5:40 for Indurain's group. It's going to be a small gain indeed. Zula is in at 5:58. And the result tonight makes interesting reading. Behind Laurent Jalabert, his teammate Melchior Mauri gets fourth place, 48 seconds back. Of the other favourites of this year's Tour de France, Marco Pantani comes in sixth, 5:41 down. He leads home Bjarne Riis and Miguel Indurain. Alex Zula loses a little bit of time. He comes home ninth, while Ivan Gotti and Tony Rominger, they finish together 6 minutes and 18 seconds down. So Laurent Jalabert, known by his friends as Jaja, gets his first stage win in this year's Tour, and he's done it on Bastille Day. Well, the one man who did so much to help him was the Aussie Neil Stevens, who eventually trailed in 14 minutes and 5 seconds behind. Paul Sherwin was waiting for him.
What a great day for the French, though. You know that Laurent Jalabert wins on Bastille Day. Yeah, you know, well, I suppose that's a bit of a psychic. You know, I suppose he was really after the green jersey. You know, after some sprint points, I know he really wanted to win a stage, and to do it on the French national day, I suppose it's something extra.
Well, you know, Neil, we always see you doing the work every time something needs to be done. Do you not think about winning for yourself? Is it just for somebody else?
Oh no, it's pretty obvious out there. They've gotten a break in the guy on 6th in the general classification, the guy 8th in GC, the green jersey. I think it's pretty clear as mud, really. Yeah, you got to get in there and have a bit of a gas.
Well, what is clear tonight are the changes in the overall classification, and Laurent Jalabert is now up into 3rd place. Losing time today, Alex Zula, 2 minutes 44 seconds back now. Bjorn Rees drops from 3rd to 4th. Melchior Mari comes in from 8th to 5th. Also down tonight, Tony Rominger, Ivan Gotti and Marco Pantani. And tomorrow, Miguel Indurain will put on his 52nd yellow jersey in a Tour de France. Only Bernard Hinault and Eddie Merckx have more. And on Sunday, you could win your first if you name the winner of the stage to Guzet Neige. Phone your choice to 0891 444477. And there's also a green jersey and a polka dot one as well to the lucky winner. And just time to tell you that Max Chiandri, yesterday's winner, he came in today over 10 minutes behind, and Sean Yates, the other British rider, he was home safely in the main pack just over 20 minutes back. But this was the day of Laurent Jalabert in particular and his Once team in general. They now have 3 riders in the top 5 overall. This race far from over yet. Until tomorrow night, goodbye.